Hello to everybody, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It is your boy Brian, moderator and creator of Brian Speaks On, which can be found on the YouTube channel of the same name and on the Facebook page. Let's get right into it. I wanted to talk about this because it's like fresh out the oven, hot on the press, all the good cliche stuff. Want to talk about your girl Ayesha Curry, who just made a very, very bad faux pas based off of last night's Game 6 finals matchup between Cleveland and Golden State. Ayesha Curry, for those who are living in under a rock somewhere, is the wife of Steph Curry, who was this year's and last year's NBA MVP of the league. He is basically the face of the league right now and has been for the past 2 years. Now, I'm going to try to go into this as quickly as possible, but I always have to do my explaining of the format of the Brian Speaks On channel. I like to talk about a broad topic, but I use a specific example as a springboard topic within a much broader subject. And so Ayesha has earned that title today, because I think what she did last night speaks to a variety of subjects all in one. And this is going to be kind of interesting for some people, and you'll understand why as I move along here. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about as far as her actions, which basically only amounted to some very disparaging Twitter tweets. She just pretty much went ham on the NBA and referees and all this other stuff based on them losing last night. And you can point to a number of things, variables that led to them getting beat the way that they were last night. But some of the stuff that she was talking about was just like, basically she just said that the NBA is rigged. The officiating was done in a certain manner, and in order to guarantee a Game 7 because the NBA makes more money, so on and so forth. Now, from normal people like you and me, it would just be seen as some kind of humorous fodder, conspiracy theorist fodder regarding the NBA and supposedly being rigged and all this other stuff. But it comes off really, really poorly coming from the wife of the current MVP for the past 2 years. This year, unanimously selected, mind you. Not even Jordan was unanimously selected as the MVP, but it's another subject. And believe me, I'm no Jordan supporter. But yeah, she just really put herself out there. Now, there are a couple of underlying factors within all this that I want to point out, because I think, like I said, I like to try to point out various different angles of perspective on something that may not be as widely spoken about, other than the obvious. Now, the one thing I do want to talk about is the obvious, is just in the sense of her putting her husband in a bad spot, by doing that. She really put Steph in a bad public relations spot, because what is he supposed to do now? What is he supposed to say? Because, a lot of people will come off and say one thing, but then, of course, when you say a particular thing, you come off as like Neanderthal-like and sexist, which is a lot of people be like, yo, Steph needs to check his wife. Of course, that's not the way we talk, especially nowadays. But I think the premise is really more like, I think the point, the spirit of the thought is that Steph needs to have a conversation with her and let her know, like, yo, you're not the one playing. You're my wife and you support me, and that's all good. That's wonderful. But you got to let me, this is my thing right here. You have to let me be the person to deal with that on that level. Like, if you want to make things easier for me, if you want to defend me, there are other ways in which to do that. You can't be acting as my public spokesperson, especially in a situation like that, which only made everybody look way worse. And I mean, I understand the spirit behind some of what she was saying eventually, like when she, when she was doing that fierce backpedaling, some of the points that she made, you can't really be mad at. The main thing to me was she was basically reacting, angrily as a mom and as a parent based on, tweets and stuff like that that people have been saying disparaging things about her kid. Like, kid is 3 years old. Regardless of the age of the child, that's something you just don't do. That's how people get their ass whooped, And why you as an adult, male or female, what have you, are even paying mind to their child on that level, and then have the sliminess to, put yourself on such a level. That says way more about you as a human being, as a person, than her as a mom reacting to that. But again, it's just a bad deal to put your husband in a situation like that. And it got me to thinking, because they're very Christian people, and it was very unchristian like to see that. And I'm not a religious person, so for me, I just find it highly entertaining. But it did make me think, as someone who is a staunch practitioner of the Christian faith, I was under the impression that part of that, living that lifestyle, that faith, not requires you, but it is very much stressed that as the woman spouse, you are to be submissive to your husband. And I would think that this kind of would fall in that parameter of, being the submissive wife, in the sense of you're making it about you right now. Not only are you, it's like you're stepping in front of your husband to talk. Now you're making it about you. So I don't know, if to all the religious Christian people out there, please enlighten me better to that. I'm really speaking out of ignorance when it comes to that. Again, I would think that it would fall under that guideline, though. Like, if you're supposed to be a submissive wife, kind of supposed to be, be easy when it comes to situations like that. Let him speak for himself. Now, again, that's just a small, that's just a small thing. The thing that I really want to point out, and I want to say, unfortunately, I can't say this is a complete original thought. It was something that I was thinking that somebody else actually started speaking about on the radio, but I want to expound on it a little bit more. And I got to give credit to this guy, Dan Le Batard, on ESPN Radio. He spoke about it earlier today on his program. Now, the only thing that I will say is that he didn't go all the way there when he started speaking about this particular thing. And that is that we as a society here in America did not react the way we would have reacted if it was LeBron and his wife, And the reason that he stated, which I agree with, is that, Steph and his wife are what you would consider not menacing looking people. Steph is like an average looking dude, in terms of his size and everything. And he definitely pointed out that had LeBron taken his mouthpiece out and threw it and even accidentally hit somebody with it, he would have been raked over the coals right now. He would have been catching all hell. And he would have been called a lot of disparaging, derogatory names, such as thug, brute, names like that. And one reason is because we are psychologically and subconsciously brainwashed to look at a certain type of brother as menacing. LeBron is a big dude, and he's dark skinned. And this is where I come to the point of where I go back, when I said earlier that you're going to find this funny coming from me. Because I saw that in the same way last night when it happened. I said, you know what, if that was LeBron, he would have caught every piece of hell for that, because he's a big black dude. Now, Steph is a short, light-skinned brother, and this is where Levitard didn't take it where I think he should have taken it, because for some reason I just don't even think he sees Steph as black, because he just kept saying Steph is a nice guy and he's adorable, or some word he was using like that. But he never pointed out that Steph was actually black too. Like, Steph is black, him and his wife, they're both black, they're just light skinned. All right, get it right, Dan. Now, but the spirit of the point still remains. Steph is a light skinned brother, he's high yellow, and again, he's not big and imposing. But let's say Steph was big. Let's say he was a big dude. Let's say he was the same size as LeBron. I still don't think that the reaction would have been the same if it was LeBron. And I think a lot of it has to do with colorism. Because I thought about it in the sense of that, what if Steph was built more like that dude from Orlando that almost won the dunk contest and should have won this previous year? I can't remember his name. But if he was built like that, like 6'9" and all that stuff, muscular, I think the reaction still would have been more or less the same, because Steph is light skinned, and there is light skin privilege among the many subcultures of privilege that exists here in America. And I, as a light skinned black guy, can admit to that. I see it, I understand it, I acknowledge it, I don't condone it, I'm really not feeling it, I wish it never existed, but I have to exist in the reality that exists for this. And yes, light-skinned people are not generally looked at as menacing and imposing and intimidating in the same manner as darker skinned people, as black dark skinned brothers and sisters. We don't get the same stigma on the same level, and it's pretty much been that way since slave masters started having bastard children with their slaves, and started having mulatto kids rolling around. And a lot of light-skinned people, I don't know if I don't hear too much conversation about that kind of acknowledgement, among light-skinned people. To me, again, I always saw it as it was in that sense, in that societal prism. Like, you guys get way more crap than we do, and I know it is because my skin is fair. And in that psychosis, the fairer the skin, the more, for whatever reason, the more better you're supposed to be, or exotic, or what have you. And of course, we all know in reality that's BS, but such is the perception that was created. And I think that it really showed last night in that example, and it showed with Ayesha Curry as well. Imagine if that was LeBron's wife, popping off like that on Twitter. Look at the hell that Michelle Obama catches from the patriots out there. Look at the types of memes created, the horrible, disgusting vitriol that she catches from people. And a lot of that is because she's dark skinned. A lot of that. Because if Michelle was light skinned, if she was a high yellow, mixture of this and that, she'd probably, I'm not going to say she wouldn't be catching hell. She would be, but it wouldn't be to the level of vitriol that she catches now. I really feel that. I believe that staunchly. And it's sad. You know, it perpetuates this divisive, you know, nature among black people. There are different ways of being black. I'm one way, you know, but the common denominator is still that we are black. We are all black, you know, and it really disgusts me to see my darker skinned brethren catching the extra added layer of BS that they catch, you know. And it's, you know, it's sad. I can only imagine how it was back, you know, back in slavery era, you know, because, you know, the light-skinned black people back then, you know, they had no control over their skin tone and who their bastard father was and things of that nature. And some of them, I'm pretty sure a large amount of them probably lost their thought and had to get put back into reality too, in terms of feeling like, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm light skinned, so I'm a little bit different. And it's like, no, you had to catch that reality check too, in the sense that you may be fairer skinned and we may not be as intimidated by you, but you still a nigga, you know. So they probably had their moment of rude awakening as well. But again, I think it points to a colorism issue that is subconsciously unrecognized among us all. Because again, if it had LeBron done it and had his wife been on Twitter saying what they were saying and doing what he was doing on the court, man, oh man, y'all know. And you can't even, I mean, who among you can really sit here and honestly be like, nah, it would have been the exact same way? Yeah, okay. Right. So, again, I just wanted to point that out. I do see the whole element of light skin privilege. I don't care for it. I really can't stand it at all, to be honest with you. I loathe it. I think that it's a topic that should be a little bit more openly discussed, because I think there's probably a lot that can be hashed over among us within our own culture as it applies to colorism. I think there's still a lot that needs to be addressed and smoothed over among us, because again, to me, it's all been used as a psychological tactic of divisiveness, and it's worked all this time. It has been working. That Willie Lynch thing is real. You know, the Willie Lynch syndrome is a real deal syndrome. It is a psychological epigenetic syndrome. You know, and we need to, in order to get past something, we first have to acknowledge its existence. We have to acknowledge that it exists, that we all either suffer or benefit from it on some level, and we must correct that. You know, I personally am all for it, and I hope that, you know, we all get past that. And that was pretty much all I wanted to speak about as it applied to that subject. I thank you all for watching, for everybody that has watched, and I want to wish everybody a magnificent Father's Day weekend. I'm going to enjoy mine for sure. For those that know me, y'all know that I am like big time on my fatherhood. I am a big time supporter of fatherhood. I'm not going to get further into that. I'm just going to say shout out to all the good fathers out there, the ones worthy and deserving of your day, our day. Thank you all. Bless up. Catch y'all on the next one.